Welcome to Forum at 360. I'm Scott Burton. Tonight we'll hear from 4 artists who are part of a floating residency on the Alaska Marine Highway System. The artists on the Tidelines Ferry tour are exploring the intersection of climate change and culture as they travel across coastal Alaska. Beyond getting to meet the artists tonight and ask them questions, we'll get to see examples of their work and performance throughout the hour. Starting with introductions, to my left is New York-based playwright Chantal Bilodeau. Did I get that right, Chantal?
Yes.
All right. And next to Chantal is Hong Kong-based creative futurist and visual artist Michelle Fung. Can you please say your entire name for me?
Michelle Kuen Suet Fung.
Right.
You did really well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And next to Michelle is Allison Warden, who some may know as Akumatu, who splits time between Kaktovik and Anchorage. She's an interdisciplinary artist and rapper. Good to have you on the show, Allison. Nice to see you. And he is from Sitka, not originally from Arizona, but now is Sitka-based. Please welcome Devan Alexander over here. And last but not least is Peter Bradley. He's the executive director of Sitka's Island Institute. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thank you very much for having us.
So it's so nice to have all of you here on the show. Thank you for bringing your tour, your moving residency here to Juneau. It's great to have you. Peter, start by telling us about the Island Institute. What is it?
Sure. The Island Institute is a small Sitka-based nonprofit that is interested in sparking explorations of what it means to live well in place as a community, and what it means to live well as part of broader natural systems. So it's this sort of interesting melding of community and environment, and we get at those questions through literature and story and conversation.
Okay, and now tell us how this came to be.
This is sort of an outgrowth of a long-running program called the Sitka Symposium, a summertime convening that ran for around 30 years, and our artist residency program. And as we started to think about the question of climate change as something that we wanted to investigate and that we thought we might have something to offer, it seemed important to visit with various communities in Alaska and hear the perspectives of people who are living in sort of daily interaction and observation of the natural systems and patterns around them. We think that many Alaskans are in this particularly privileged position to see and understand and communicate about the changes that they're seeing in their culture as a result of the changes that they're seeing in their climate.
Okay. So you've been traveling with these artists across coastal Alaska and Southeast. I sort of want to turn it over to you at this point and have you tell us a little bit more about Chantal, and then I'm really looking forward to seeing her art.
Sure. Chantal is working on this incredible project called the Arctic Cycle. She's working on 8 plays. It's a long-term project. You've dedicated about the next 10 years of your life to this thing, I think. Where one full-length play will be written in each of the Arctic countries. And so there's been a play written in Norway and one in Canada, and this trip marks the beginning of research for Chantal for the American play. And so I'd love it, Chantal, if you'd be willing to share some of your work and some of your some excerpts.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Here we go. Is it possible to make this full screen? Thank you. So the project I'm working on is called, as Peter described, is called the Arctic Cycle. It's a series of 8 plays, one for each of the countries of the Arctic. And it looks at the social and ecological changes taking place in each of these countries. I started a few years ago. I've already written a play about Canada and a play about Norway, and this trip is to write the play about Alaska. And here are the 8 countries of the Arctic. So Alaska, of course, the US, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, then in Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and Russia. And the first play, to write the first play, I took a trip to Baffin Island, which is an island in the Canadian Arctic, directly north of the province of Quebec, sandwiched between the Northwest Territories and Greenland. And I spent about 3 weeks there talking to scientists, climate change activists, Inuit elders, as many people as I could talk to try to gather some stories, get a lot of information about the problems that were happening, and get a sense of the geography and the climate, and let all of that inspire me to write the play. So the play is called Sila, which is an Inuit word for breath, air, weather, and this was the set. This play was produced by Underground Railway Theatre in Boston in 2014, so this was the set for it. And two of the characters in the play are polar bears, and this specific company built these really giant, life-size polar bear puppets that were incredibly powerful on stage. And they were manipulated. The baby polar bear was manipulated by one actress, and the mama polar bear had an actress at the head who manipulated the head with a stick. There was somebody in the back with manipulating the back paws, and there was a woman in the bear itself carrying the entire structure on her back and manipulated the front legs. You can see them on that slide a little bit closer. They were the face didn't really move, so it moved from the neck, but they were very expressive. And these polar bears they were part of a bigger story. There were 7 characters in the play, and these polar bears told a story of environmental degradation in their world. And they were also, had a very poetic way of talking, and they were able to reflect on some aspect of human nature that is more difficult to do from our point of view. And here's a scene where the polar bear encounters the human. So there was a scene where there was a decision to make whether the polar bear was going to get shot or not, and it doesn't. And a little bit later, I like to describe this scene as being a mix of contemporary Arctic policies and Inuit mythology. And in this scene, which is the climactic scene of the play, the two worlds merge. And the actors in the foreground was playing a climate scientist. And in this scene, he's fallen through the ice. So this scene is actually happening underwater. And in the back, what's being projected is the face of Nuliajuk, or also known as Sedna, who is the goddess of the ocean and the underworld. So there's an encounter between the human and the goddess. And as a result of that, everybody's world is slightly changed. And this is a scene just a bit later. So we see, again projected in the back, the hair. We see just the hair of the goddess this time. And in the mythology, this goddess has really long hair, and when she's angry, she traps the sea animals in her hair, so the hunters can't get food for their families. And in this story, the two women on stage are on the floor are mother and daughter. So both the daughter on the floor and the goddess experience a big emotional release. Now, the second play, the one that's set in Norway, started with an expedition in Svalbard, which is a group of islands halfway between Norway and the North Pole. And it was a 10-week sailing expedition where 20 artists were taken on a boat to go explore that region of the Arctic, and we were expected to respond to that experience in our work. And here's the set for that play, which is called Forward. And Forward is the English translation of Fram, which was the ship that the Norwegian explorer Fridtjof Nansen took to the North Pole in 1893. And he held the record of sailing closest to the North Pole for about 5 years. He didn't make it, but he held the record, and also he used a completely different approach, which is that people had gone with very much of a spirit of conquering nature, and he decided to do the opposite, to go with nature. And his whole theory was to design a ship that would withstand the pressure of the ice, to sink the ship in the sea ice, and then to let the polar drift take him towards the pole. And although the theory was right in principle, he had budgeted 5 years, and he wouldn't have gotten, in the end, he wouldn't have gotten to the pole fast enough. They would have run out of food. So he left the ship, went on skis, and again, he didn't quite make it, but it was a significant expedition, and I think he was also the first explorer who didn't lose, nobody died. They all came back alive. So the story deals with this story. The play deals with this story, and the ice is a character in the play, so it's the love affair between Nansen and ice. And at the same time, there's another storyline that follows the development of energy in Norway, from the whaling, the fisheries, coal mining, the big oil boom, all the way to today's dealing with climate change. So here are a few scenes. This is Nansen speaking with his wife Eva at the beginning of the play. And this was the character of Ice, who in the play only expresses herself through song. She doesn't speak. Here is a scene that takes place in 1972, where a young father is about to go work on the first oil rig, and he's saying goodbye to his child and saying how wonderful the world will be now that Norway will have more money and he'll be able to provide for her. I forgot to say that this storyline goes backwards in time. So now we're going backward, and this is a scene where we encounter trappers. And here is the beginning where the two storylines meet, the one in the past and the one in the present. And it's the return of Nansen's ship. So these people are at the ceremony when the ship comes into the port. And I would like to read you a small piece, which is just a few minutes long, and it's not exactly an excerpt of these plays, but it's very much in the spirit. You'll get a sense of what my writing is, and the thing I really focus on is trying to understand the interconnectedness between human and nature, and both the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual relationship. So this piece is a good example, and it's called Mother. The person speaking is an ageless woman. Look at me. Why won't you look at me? You were such a surprise. No one was waiting for you. No one was expecting you. The idea of you hadn't even crossed my mind. You just showed up one day out of nowhere, a fully formed creature, a little beast with its own will, ready to take the world by storm. I should have seen it coming, of course. I should have realized when you crawled out of the ocean that something was happening, that something had been set in motion. But the truth is, it was all random. A little mutation here, a little mutation there, and boom, there you were with your big head and your big brain, so proud of yourself for standing on your own 2 feet. Such a miracle. Somehow, in the space of a geological flicker, chaos organized itself into you. Why won't you look at me? Then one day, it was time for you to spread your wings and make the world your own. And what a day that was. Drunk with your own power, you heard and saw and tasted. You experienced and learned, invented and discovered, organized and cataloged. It was exhilarating. I watched you grow, innocent and carefree, incapable of even imagining that, well, maybe it would have made any difference. We used to gaze into each other's eyes, remember? From dusk to dawn and dawn to dusk. I held you close and we lost ourselves into each other's mystery. That was before you started calling me mother, before there was anything to call mother. I was you and you were me. There was no distance to travel, no otherness to name. It was our own version of Eden, our own little paradise. You know, maybe the proverbial apple wasn't plucked from a tree. Maybe it was extracted from the ground. Look at me. I wish you would look at me simply, without guilt or shame. I may be sick. I may be oozing thick black blood, but I'm not angry. I know you. For billions of years, I have carried you in my womb. You are made of me. You, my little piece of eternity, my little miracle. I know you're not ill-intentioned. I know you're not oblivious. I know you're not mean. You care. You want the best. You love. Yes, you do, maybe imperfectly, but you love. The past is behind us. Let it go. And the future is forever hidden in a double helix of a cell. But now is here. Now is us. Now is our time for forgiving what has been done, for rediscovering what has been lost, for healing what has been hurt. Now is our chance to bridge that distance again and reclaim the Eden that was before there was Mother. Look at me, please. If I see myself in your eyes, I'll know that everything will be okay. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that work, Chantal. I have many questions for you, but I think in the essence of time, to make sure we get to hear from all of our performers, that we keep going with that and save questions till the end.
Sure.
Yeah. Peter, would you please introduce Michelle?
Yes, but I'd first like to introduce a couple of people who aren't on stage with us. Just this morning, we parted ways with a group of people who are an essential part of the first half of this ferry tour. That group was led by Heather Powell, who also goes by the name Shkeki, and her 3 children, RJ, Ava, and Sophie, and 2 students from Hoona High School, Cecilia George and Mary Jack. They brought a ton to the first half of this trip. They're all Tlingit culture bearers, and they're working on carrying the language forward. And it was important to us to have them on the journey because so much essential knowledge about this place and its core and natural functioning is embedded in their language. And so we're very grateful to them for bringing their language with them and with us on the trip. Next up, on stage, we have Michelle Kuen Suet Fung, who is offering a sort of nightmarish and unhappy vision of 2084 as it will be, or as she proposes it could be if the detrimental impacts of human civilization continue unchecked, particularly in regards to plastics. And though plastics and climate change are not quite in line, it felt important to have one of the more telling signs of human impact included in this tour. And so I'd like to invite Michelle to present the story of this unhappy future.
Thank you. In 2016, a whopping 5% of human plastic waste is recycled. 50% is sent to the landfills, and the rest find its way to the ocean and becomes food for the animals, such as whales, sharks, dolphins, seabirds, and sea turtles. Over time, the marine animals have developed such an insatiable appetite for plastic that they refuse to eat anything else. In 2050, people no longer recycle plastic or send it to the landfills because even the 5 great gyres can no longer satisfy the marine animals' zest for plastic. Seeing this as a win-win situation, the G5, the Great 5 industrial nations, set up regular feeding sessions for marine animals. For a few decades, this works remarkably well. Beaches and city streets are spick and span. Tourism flourishes. The need for landfills and incinerators is drastically reduced. The recycling budget is virtually non-existent. The animals are fed. Until, over time, the G5 finds that fewer and fewer animals come to the feeding sessions, until for some months, no animal comes at all. The G5 now has to find an alternative solution. After all, people have gotten so used to having no plastic in sight. At the G5 annual meeting of 2084 on Miami Island, China, in the form of a pig, proposes, if animals can learn to eat plastic, why can't children? Right away, China and India impose a nationwide plastic school menu. Today's menu is cellophane wonton soup, bottle cap fried rice, and petrol juice. And of course, the International Food Guide also came up with the new food triangle. This experiment is a smashing hit. It isn't long before the US, Canada, and the EU follow suit. Plastic becomes the most popular snack. If you like chocolate, you might like to try our plastic bar or our chocolate-covered biscuits. And of course, this is Alaska, so we all have to think about the environment. We eat local plastic. In fact, plastic eating has become such a mainstream culture that there are lots of subcultures that come up with alternative plastic. So we have this couple here playing a piece of music for us.
Love, peace, alternative plastic. Love, peace, alternative plastic. That midsummer night's dream, petroleum ice cream. I really wanna scream.
Don't melt!
Love, peace, alternative plastic. Love, peace, alternative plastic.
These school children grow into teenagers, into young adults, into parents, and then into grandparents. The demand becomes so great that now all the oil in the world does not make enough plastic to feed the whole world. Scientists are figuring out ways to make alternative plastic. Sustainable plastic becomes the new black. While all this is happening, one person is confused. We have this young teacher here who is less enthusiastic about how her school is shoving plastic into her students' throats. Here she is visiting Miss Pighead's classroom. She goes to the principal, Mr. Turkey. Unfortunately, her plastic is not food campaign is ignored by her students, jeered at by her colleagues, and suppressed by her school. Eventually, her disruption of everyone's well-being cost her her job. Disheartened, she decides to retreat to an isolated island. She only eats food that she grows and detaches herself from the rest of the world. Until one day, she sees an injured sea turtle on her island. Recognizing the significance of this sea turtle, she decides to go into the city for help. As she arrives, she sees no shops in operation, no children in the playground. There is not a sound on the radio, no images on the television. She goes back to her old school, old apartment. Not a soul is there. And meanwhile, the turtle has gently expired. She puts the turtle back into the ocean and makes her way home. This was going to be the ending of my story. And when I think of the way we use plastic, the way we use energy, the way we consume, I feel like, are we, as the human race, going to be selfish until it's too late? Until we get to that point, it's too late. And then the changes are so drastic that it's just too late. And then I thought, but maybe hope is like that turtle. Maybe the turtle is still alive and it's behind us all that time without us knowing it. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I only know that without hope, we have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Next up, I'd like to introduce Allison Warden, who wears many hats as an artist, including a polar bear hat. But today we're going to hear from Allison under her rap persona Akumatu, with beats by DJ WD40, who can't be here, but who has furnished Allison with many, many glorious beats. And Allison is going to embody a polar bear, a whale, and an ancestor in a trio of rap songs. Thank you, Allison.
Silakput talang nuktuk Nunakput talang nuktuk Sikyuksuk I'm a polar bear in the Arctic Sea. Let me tell you how tough it is to be me. Everything is changing oh so fast. Now I wonder how long us polar bears will last. Oh, where did all the ice go? Where did it go? Oh, where did all the ice go? Do you know? My name is Homer, I'm a polar bear, and there used to be ice everywhere. Now it has gone away. I worried about my cubs every day. What will happen to me and my polar bear community? We need the ice to survive. Seals bask on it and keep us alive. It's time for the humans of the earth to wake up, rise up, and give birth to a brighter day of living on the planet in a sustainable way. It's time to arise, heal the disease and the lies. Yes, even you can rise up, and even you too. Oh, where did all the Where did it go? Oh, where did all the ice go? Do you know? Ala, silakput dalang nuktuk. Nunakput dalang nuktuk. Sikyuksuk. Sikyuksuk. I wonder what we can do. Are you worried about me? I'm worried about you. When will you stop and see? All the ice is melting around me. The earth is calling out your name, asking you to please be brave. We, the animals, believe in you. We ask you to do what we cannot do. We've warmed up enough already. It's time for the people to rise up steady. You are now an honorary polar bear, and I hope you really care about the healing of the earth and the movements to which we give birth. Yes, the polar bears say, we are waiting for you, okay? Oh, where did all the ice go? Where did it go? Oh, where did all the... Do you know? Oh, I'm a bowhead whale. This is how I go, and you know me so well. Oh, yes, out in the sea, I know you see me, and I know you want me, but no, you can't have me. No, I'm not easy. Ho. I know you want me, but no, I'm not easy. Ho. Do you see? I can feed a whole community, yes. The Inupiaq way, living in the Arctic like back in the day, yes. I remember too, and I remember what makes a good crew, and yes, when I do see, I see the whole line of your ancestry. Oh yes, I know you see me, and yes, I'm so round and blubbery, oh yes. I know you want me, but no, I'm not easy, ho. See, this is how we do. A whaling captain, his wife, and the crew, and you really got to be the epitome of generosity, oh. There's so much to do, so many ways to get ready with the crew, oh. Yes, do you see? The wife of the whaling captain is the one for me, ho. Do you understand? She's the reason I want to land on the land, oh. Because you see, she is the one who is gonna handle me, yes. Her energy and how she shows love to her community, yeah, oh, is why I choose to give my own life so that others may live, oh yes. Do you understand? The Inupiaq live off of the sea of land for thousands of years, and yes, we are still here, ho. I know you see me, and I know I'm so round and blubbery, I know. I know you want me, but no, I'm not easy. Oh, I'm a bowhead whale. This is how I go, and you know me so well, oh. Yes, out in the sea, I know you see me, and I know you want me, but no, I'm not easy. No, you can't have me, oh. Yes, I'm not easy. No, you can't have me, ili. Si marunga, tautu, lagema, ili. Si marunga, pirik suk, kiring manau mi. Anung niang ni kip singa nau mi. Pigan niang ni kip singa kai. Niang ni chunga kai. Churunga hangalat chik. Tolak tomun uvam nun. sing. Oh, now you know what to do. Gotta be on a really good crew and show generosity and lots of love for your community. Oh, then maybe I will be just a little bit easy. Ho, but not for you. Gotta be generous for me to decide to. Oh yes, I know you see me, and I know I'm surrounded blubbery, and yes, I know you want me, but no, you can't have me.
Oh, Yakni. Oh, this is so bright. Where am I? Is this the future? Ilisimarunga. Ikamarunga. I recognize you. Diga. Tautulakima. I remember. I made it. I'm an ancestor from the future. Ancestor from the future. I'm an ancestor from the future. Ancestor from the future. I'm an ancestor and I got to say I love you in a long time ago kind of way. Oh, you know, I come from the land of the long ago to remind you to wake up and do what you got to do. You see, everybody at one point was a little baby. Even you remember a time soon. Let's go back in time, each and every one of you listening to this rhyme. Remember you when you landed on the planet as a precious baby. You had a dream to complete, a dream in your heart so strong it did beat. Yes, you came with a light burning bright inside your flame. Do you remember now your aim, your calling, your inner heart's vow? Yes, even you, and especially you too. It's time to wake up and remember why. Why you arrived on the earth, not just to survive, but to give birth to your dreams. You are worth everything. Your dreams are coming true for you and you and you and you and you and you and you. I'm an ancestor from the future. Ancestor from the future. I'm an ancestor from the future. Ancestor from the future. I'm an ancestor and I got to say I love you in a long time ago kind of way. See? You are doing it. You are remembering. It is now safe for you to be who you really are. And you are now unfolding and unpacking and remembering and remembering more. And you now know that you are truly in the process of making all your dreams come true. And from now on, life gets easier and easier, and it flows through you, and you go on your very own love berry journey. Okay? Are we ready to let the negativity go? Let's let it go. It's kind of like fighting. Ready? 1, 2, 3, now. joke. I'm an ancestor and I got to say, I love you in the long time ago kind of way. I young I know, I young I ning a ning a nee, young a yay! All the ancestors say yay! Remember do it be you, okay? Okay. Atay. Kuya na.
Thank you so much, Allison. We'll go to Devan in a moment, but first I wanted to mention that we're very excited to have Tlingit weaver and storyteller and gatherer Terry Rothkar joining us for the rest of the tour starting tomorrow. So we're super excited to have Terry with us. We're also excited to have Devan Alexander with us. He's been traveling with us for the entire tour and has been writing poetry based on his observations of the landscape rolling by, of the conversations that we've been having in the communities. And Devan, I'd love it if you would share a few of your poems with us.
Thank you. Super honored and blessed to be in this land. We've been going on the ocean and coming ashore. This morning in the birdlit dawn, we saw a porcupine, which was a sweet omen. All these new friends. So I'm going to share a few poems that have swam up while we've been journeying. Tasting. Woo, you are a torn kernel of the moon's womb, quenched on whale croon. I bask, flush in the husk of this migration, where joy is a potion. Sea of silk trenches and pendants, today the blossom bent growth provokes the feeling of exalted wind mist, steaming up the giraffe of an empty evening. And you take to cooking the unbitten light. There is no beyond, but you always bring me here. A clock wilts within, silence like a lamp over the sound. I will show you how to freeze death. I will listen from my body's cloud leg. I will tend spirits to fruit, for a baleen bed frame remains, rocks and wolves, arrayed persuasions. Who will open the sap of the wheel? Furry yelp, memory, labyrinthed by hues. Hemispheres. Hurricane had no teeth and drove a tricycle with 2 cedar baskets everywhere the wheels went that spring. Cockles and steamers. We became enigmas of lovers, bathing our bodies in minted geranium oil to keep the black flies from doing away with the aurora, pricked tide of flesh. If there is such a thing as night, the earth we are, its throat swollen with molted fevers of navigational ore. Alabaster, that tree's hissing like a stolen coal. Ask me again, would I melt the laws of wood? Am I yet a rattle for the nautical mystics to cagily bear their rogue indents? Ah, yes, what you called a moment, our life enunciates by tasting. In your heart, your eyes, the hemispheres, nothing, given and abbreviated, algal bloom rounding out the love, a scar dares not detail in rushed origins. For I have no haste here, wedded to cobwebs of kelp. I leave you tending the wall of flames in a bird's cheekbone, a soft fire bowl on an Aleutian dusk. May the moment dangle, sourced, safe, for the struggle is whittled now to a single howl. Sun is a grave leaf passing. Time laughs. Its children are bleached teeth concentrating on circulature autumns. Dark nescences fatten. Aware if the roar is full, the crick is gasping. Sweet moan how we escape ourselves to enter the own.
Thank you all so much for sharing. Among other things, I'm so impressed by this multi-genre approach, from playwriting to visual to performance, to verse. It seems like you're able to affect so many different learning styles and people in different ways, and how other people learn and relate to information. I was wondering if we could go around the circle and maybe start with you, Chantal. Tell us about an experience on this tour where you feel like you had a connection with somebody or something, or there was an exchange of information about climate change or with your art, as a special situation basically on this tour.
We presented twice in a tribal house. Once in, now I'm going to get them mixed up, in Wrangell was the first one, and the second one was in Ketchikan. And the one in Ketchikan in particular, there was something very special. Both were very special, but in Ketchikan I felt it even more strongly because we were welcomed by the chief, and there was a big ceremonial aspect to it, and they were very supportive in what we were trying to do, and saying how they would relay our message to other people, and it felt I felt a real kinship, like we were working together. They were happy to have us, and we were happy to learn from them.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Michelle?
Same question?
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's not one single experience, but I've been blown away by learning more about the native way of life. And in CAIG, we learned about this term, traditional customary gathering, which most people know as subsistence living. And me living in a big city, we talk about whether being vegetarian or meat eating. And here, it's not that question. It's not a matter of eating meat or vegetables. You eat what's there in the wild, and that's just the most natural and least impactful way to sustain your life. So this whole relearning process upsets the way I've been thinking all along in the best possible way.
Oh, thank you.
As you know, I was born and raised in Fairbanks. My family's from Kaktovik. Yet along this Tidelines journey, I was able to return to another community I call home, which is Cake, Alaska. And I'm very honored that my mom, Delachini, is here in the audience, who adopted me as part of her family. And my auntie, Jada, is here also, Jada Smith. So it's in Cake, it was just had a deeper and more special significance to be coming home and to reconnect with my aunties and uncles and cousins, and to see the level of support that they offered there for picking us up from the airport and being there at the conversations, and then having a really beautiful family dinner for me and my guests. It just was really special and emotional homecoming. And I'm wearing my Haida Eagle hummingbird. Is what the clan I was adopted to. So and it's just a beautiful, just given to me here by my ma in Juneau, and it's just I've just been feeling especially lots of love from reconnecting with family and being on the land.
Okay, thank you. Devan?
Yes, so many meals, feasts, of laughter, and particularly blessed to travel with the kids that we were with and are still totally with us. And always learn from them, always ready to play at every moment, all hours of the night and day. And that's the most, I think, essential, so vital to every moment. And yeah, love playing.
I think often we think of presenters who come to a place to teach us something, and I suspect that we all learned something or took something from your art form tonight, but it sounds like as you tour around these communities, you are receiving and learning from the communities as well. For sure, yeah.
Much more than we give, I think. We get much more than we give.
Peter, you've seen this whole thing. Thank you to you and the Island Institute for organizing these amazing artists, bringing them to our communities. What have been some highlights for you? What are you seeing happening? Is it fulfilling your goals at the Institute?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the goals are sort of run on a few different levels. I hope that, and I'm pretty sure that for the artists this has been a rich experience that they'll be able to build into their craft moving forwards, and that will offer spark and inspiration. For the communities, I hope that it opens up new avenues for conversation and new people to continue the conversation within the communities. I think and hope that this tour has brought a degree of hope and optimism about the sort of climate change and how it might manifest in the future, and how we might be able to come together to understand and adapt. We've been making new friends in every community, and I'm endlessly grateful to the many people that have hosted us in their homes, that have shared meals with us, to the many organizations in each community that have facilitated our visits. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our three major funders for this program. So if I may, the Alaska Conservation Foundation offered the first spark for this program, and then the Harper Arts Touring Fund provided travel support. That's a program funded by the Rasmussen Foundation and administered by the Alaska State Council on the Arts. And then we have a very generous individual donor who sort of sealed the deal to make this thing possible, and we hope that we can do something similar every year.
And remind me where your next stop is after Juneau?
Our next stop, we're crossing the Gulf. We're going over to Kodiak, and then to Homer, and then up to Anchorage.
Okay. We just have a few moments left. Can I get some closing thoughts from each of you? Anyone? Something you'd like to communicate?
In each of the stops that we've been in, we've been having these community conversations, which is really a way for us to facilitate them talking to each other and learning and listening from them. And it's been really powerful to take what we learn from each community and bring it to the next community and share that. And for instance, Wrangell had a question for the people of Cake. And, do you still get any steamer clams, was their question. Very simple question. And they do still get clams, if you want to know the answer. But carrying the knowledge of the local people in that way, it's been a real tremendous honor.
Anyone else?
And bridging different kind of knowledges, the indigenous knowledge, the scientific knowledge, and I think art is a knowledge in itself, and being able to bring the three together to talk about something important and see how they feed on each other is very important. And I hope that I feel like we're learning as much about this as we're being able to bring to people.
Well, that's all the time that we have. We've been hearing from Chantal Bilodeau, Michelle Fung, Allison Warden, Peter Bradley, Devan Alexander. I'm Scott Burton. Thank you for joining us at Forum at 360. Goodbye.
Funding for Forum at 360 comes from Rainbow Foods of Juneau.